Good morning. This is Ryan again with Forest Hills Memorials. We are already out at a cemetery. We're out in Lightsville Cemetery, which is near Eagan, Illinois. So, drove out here this morning. We have another one where the foundation's already been completed. We did that in the fall, so we have an upright monument to set. It is Tuesday, February 27th, and it's just about 10 o'clock and I am already in a t-shirt, so nice and warm out. I got a perfect foundation here, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with the setting of this one. We have a 4-foot jet black base that has, you heard me reference on the last video, a 2-inch margin. So when a base has a 2-inch polished margin, that's this area. So this is all one stone. It's cut down and then polished along that margin to give it that look. So that's what I'm referring to when I discuss that. On top of that, we have a 3-foot jet black die. Got some pictures on it and that, so I'll show you that and kind of go over what we're installing there when we get to that point. So let's get this done. So again, I like to leave most of the weight on the truck. That way I can take these measurements and easily move the base where it's nice and square on its foundation. Another 1/4 inch. So I like to get that close. That's the hardest direction to move these, is, you know, kind of sideways. I got 6.5 and 5.5, so this is a 12-inch wide base and this foundation is 24 inches wide, so we know we're gonna be close to that 6 inches on each side here. Sometimes you'll get a base that's a little over 12, and you just gotta measure it out proper. All right, so there's our base, and it's exactly where it needs to be, and it's awfully dirty. So we've had this base for a little while now. So I typically inventory all polished jet black dies. I'll go over it with you, but this one's a polished too. So the front and back are polished, but the sides and top are not. So we had to order that dye. I already had the base. Let's see, we need to get this cleaned. So again, I like to wipe this all down before I start doing the setting of it, just to give it a chance to dry before we put the top on. Truck still. Go ahead and bring that down. So this is what I was referring to. So we refer to this stone, this is again a jet black stone. The quarry location in the world for this is in India, and we refer to this as having a serpentine top. So the serpentine top is this wave here that you get. So this is a 3-foot die with the serpentine top, and we call this a polished 2, where the top and the sides are rocky. We refer to that as a BRP, sides and top, or that stands for a balanced rock pitch. So you get all of that rock pitched area. I do like these in a polished 5, so when the polished area is pretty sealed, you're not going to get too much lichen or moss growth. Whereas when you have the rock pitched areas, those are more susceptible to the lichen, the mold kind of things getting dirty. So when it's rocky like this, the pores are exposed in the granite, so it gives it an area for that lichen and the such to attach to. Whereas on the polished surface, you know, it's more like a countertop where it's going to be completely sealed, so don't see as much of the stone getting dirty there. And then again, so on this one we have examples of a couple of different lettering styles. So we used a frosted outline letter for the last name, and then also a frosted outline for the individual names and dates. And then we used a skin cut letter for the the loving husband. And then we also used a skin cut letter for the maiden name for Kathy. And then in those skin cut areas we used a white highlight litho to give it that contrast. And then again, on our frosted outline we do have a deep V cut on the exterior of the letter, and then also on the interior of the letter. That deep V cut does have black lithochrome paint in it, but when that black paint is gone, you'll still have that nice contrast to read the lettering. And then in this lettering we've got the black lithochrome paint as well as inside of all these engraved areas. So a couple different styles. They incorporated their pictures, as well as Walter was a veteran of the Army. So the veteran, or the government, I guess, we're allowed to order those. So this is a folded flag medallion. You can either two-part epoxy those on, or there's 2 pins that screw into the back of that where you can drill holes and epoxy the pins in to hold that on. And then on the back side of the memorial, they had quite a bit of engraving, so we had to go with the skin cut letter. So this was for him, and then I think in the future we'll probably put something on her site as well, which at that time we'll probably come pick the die up to do that. So again, I'm going to use my spacers to go in between the die and the base, and then we will I'm probably gonna crack open that new bucket of joint tight here to seal this one down, so you'll see what a new bucket looks like. So it'll have a film over it, and it's the same film from both suppliers. It's always a little bit of a pain to get this film off, just because it tears into such small pieces. Typically what I end up doing is just sacrificing the first layer on the top and just using something like this or a putty knife to kind of get in there and get most of this off, just like that. So after this comes off, you're able to use your first bit and then fill the rest back up with water. And then we're pretty good to go there. So when we're not gonna, you end up losing a bit of it, but like I said, it's just a nightmare to get that film off. So we'll throw that away. We're not gonna litter. And then I like using this pry bar to pull off a nice big chunk, and then we'll roll it into our snakes. So this process too is a little bit easier when it's wet. It's not as sticky. We'll make that into the snake, put that around. There we go. Didn't quite make enough for our stick on this side, so we'll make a little snake and set it there. We'll roll out a piece for the middle. So it seems like you have a lot when you take out a big chunk like that, and it's ends up not lasting as long as you think it should. Get a big chunk like that, and we'll do the other end. this side. Yep, that's good. And then the last one we'll do will be the middle of this back, the middle side. Get a snake. So what this stuff does, it does a couple of things. It creates an airtight seal around the stone, which acts as like a suction, so it seals these two pieces together. And it also creates a water barrier to try to keep as much moisture as possible out from in between the two pieces. So it seems kind of crazy, but if moisture were to get under this piece, it can create ice in the fall, and then it can slide. So the die can actually slide off the base in the fall if you're not careful. So just measure with the spacers as well as the joint height to help prevent that from happening. Got a little bit of either tape or stencil residue up here. I'll take that off. And then also this one has the Cory sticker still left on it. Try to get our guys that are doing the engraving to take these Cory stickers off, but it's like pulling teeth. It's one extra thing they have to do that they don't want to, so we'll get it while we're out here. All right, so pulling the sticks out, same process as all of the stones we do. So we'll lift the die up, we'll take that stick out, push that joint tight under, put that joint tight in, pull the stick out, and then again on this side we'll do the exact same thing. We'll pull that stick out, push that one in, and then we'll pull it out. And again, while the stone is squishing down on that joint height, we'll give it another measure, make sure we're exactly where we want it to be, and then we want to make sure on the ends it's still right on 6, which it is, so that's pretty good. What I'm going to do now, before I put the vases on, is I'm going to clean the front, which is got a little bit of dirt on it. So it always seems like, so at our engraving facility, you know, we're also got a wire saw there, got a polishing machine there, so it's always pretty dirty and dusty over there, so it's always makes these kind of dirty. Wash them when they come off the engraving line, but they always tend to pick up a lot more dirt and debris. So that's it for the installation of that one. Now we'll put the vases on. Alright, so we are done putting the vases on. So this family decided to go with some powder coated metal vases from US Metal Crafts. So those are not granite vases on the side, they are powder coated metal. Nice thing about those is that they have a forever warranty. So if they should ever fade, chip, crack, anything like that, anything goes on with the powder coating, they are replaced. I guess I should say they do charge for shipping of the units, but the vases themselves are free with that warranty, so that is nice. And so we're done here. So one of the reasons that I wanted to film today was that the next cemetery we're going to, I do get to hammer drill a bronze onto an existing granite boulder. So I thought that was gonna be fun, something different. So I got all of the hammer drills and bits and, you know, tools for doing that. Now this boulder was existing in the cemetery and we provided the bronze for it, so I'll show you guys how we do that. I do use an SDS drill, and I am trying a new one out for the first time. So I've always had a corded DeWalt SDS drill. I just recently this winter bought a cordless 20-volt DeWalt SDS drill, so we're gonna try that out together. So all right, that'll wrap it up from here. We will head to the next cemetery. It's about half an hour away. I am gonna make a stop before I go there, so we'll bring it back in when I get there. Here to get fuel. Let's see, so $3.99 a gallon. So $3.99 a gallon, even though it says it says $3.84 on the sign. So $3.99 a gallon in northern Illinois right now. I typically like to fuel up. I've got like 3/4 of a tank, but I always stop. I'm a little below 3/4. So these both our diesel setting trucks have 60-gallon tanks, so I always try to fill them up when they're a little low, just because it's so expensive to fill them up. So we'll see what we got. All right, so we made it to the cemetery. I didn't realize, so the GoPro ran out of battery while at the fuel station. So pretty close to the house, so I stopped for lunch. But I made it here to the next project. Just finishing up, bringing all my tools down here. So I do have to apologize once again. I'm going to try to get somewhere. It ain't going to happen. So it is extremely windy out here. So I know that's coming across on the mic for this thing, so I do apologize once again for that. But here is the project. So family had an existing boulder. We created a plaque for them. We get our plaques from Cold Springs Foundry. So my job here is to measure this out, find center, and this plaque will have, it'll have threaded rod that goes into the back of the plaque. And so I'm gonna be hammer drilling holes into that boulder to, you know, basically epoxy that plaque into the boulder. So I am gonna work on that. I was thinking about putting you on a like a time lapse, because it's so stinking windy out here. I'm out in Winnebago Cemetery, and so this is the town I'm from, and we always refer to this as Windy-Bago because it's always windy out here. And one of my concerns are already calling for they're calling for extreme weather this evening. So with this this warm spell we're in, it's supposed to be in the 20s tomorrow. Yeah, it feels like it's in the 70s right now. So a pretty extreme dip in temperature, and then apparently along with that, it's supposed to be some pretty bad storms. So I'm gonna measure all this out. I'm gonna try to set you up maybe over there, try to use that tree as a wind block for the tripod GoPro, and then you can watch this whole process.